All right, today we're going to look at a blueprint, but it's not for a building, it's for your mind. We're diving into the ancient philosophy of Stoicism and treating it like a hands-on guide for building some serious mental and emotional resilience.
You ever feel like life is just a lot? A constant flood of things happening that are totally out of your control? Yeah, you're not alone. But what if the answer isn't some new productivity app, but an ancient operating system for your brain? One that was literally designed to create calm and inner peace. Let's dig into this blueprint and see what it's all about.
Okay, first things first. We have got to clear the air about something. Because the most common idea people have about Stoicism is just wrong. This philosophy is not about turning into a robot. Right, so when we call someone Stoic today, we picture someone with a stiff upper lip, burying their feelings deep down. But that is not it. Not at all. Ancient Stoicism was never about suppressing emotion. It was all about using rational judgment before your emotions get the chance to spiral. So it's not about feeling less, it's about thinking more clearly.
So what is it, really? Well, it all started back in Athens, around 300 BCE, with a guy named Zeno of Citium. The story goes that he and his followers would hang out and talk on this public painted porch, the Stoa Poikile. And that's actually where the name Stoicism comes from. Their whole goal was pretty profound, but also really practical. Achieve a good life, a state of inner peace, not through some kind of magic, but through knowledge and clear thinking. So let's get into the most powerful tool in the whole Stoic toolkit. This is an idea that is so simple, but once you really get it, it can completely change the way you see pretty much everything.
It's called the dichotomy of control. I know, it sounds a little academic, but trust me, it's the opposite. It's basically the daily practice of drawing a very clear line in the sand, separating the things that are 100% up to you from, well, everything else.
And this really breaks it down perfectly. Just look at that column on the left. Your judgments, your intentions, your choices, your actions. That's it. That's the entire list of things you have total command over. Now look at the right. Your health, your reputation, the past, what other people think or do, all of that is external, and ultimately it's not in your control. The Stoics said that pretty much all of our frustration and anxiety comes from us trying to control the things in that second column.
This quote from the philosopher Epictetus just nails it. He basically said that all our stress, all our anger and anxiety comes from making one big mistake, believing our happiness depends on something we can't control. The real insight here is that peace of mind comes from pouring all your energy into that first column and letting the other one go.
But this big idea doesn't just float out there on its own. Nope, it's part of a complete, really elegant system. Let's take a look at how it all fits together.
The Stoics saw their philosophy as being built on three core pillars. And these weren't separate classes you had to take. They were all interconnected, working together as one whole system for living.
And here they are. First, you have physics, which for them was about understanding the nature of reality itself. Second, logic, which is the toolkit for clear thinking and mastering your own mind. And finally, ethics, which is where the rubber meets the road. It's how you apply the first two to act with excellence in the world. See the flow? Understand reality, train your mind, and then act well.
Now, when a Stoic said physics, they weren't just talking about, atoms and gravity. They believed that the entire universe was one single, interconnected system, and that it was all governed by a universal divine reason they called the Logos. You can almost think of it like a cosmic operating system, where everything has a purpose and a place. And that belief is what helps you accept the things you can't change.
Okay, so we have the tools, we have the system, but why? What's the end game here? What are we actually trying to build with all this?
The ultimate goal is a state called eudaimonia. Now, that's a Greek word that often gets translated as happiness, but it's so much deeper than that. Think of it more like human flourishing. It's this profound sense of well-being and a calm, clear mind that comes from one thing and one thing only, living a life of virtue.
And to get to eudaimonia, the Stoics had this super strict value system. For them, the only true good was whatever improves your soul, your character. That's virtue. The only true evil was whatever damages your character. That's vice. And everything else, your health, your wealth, pain, pleasure, your job, all of it falls under the category of indifferent. Now, that doesn't mean they don't matter at all. It just means they aren't fundamentally good or bad. They're just the raw material you get to practice virtue on.
So what exactly is this virtue they were talking about? Well, it breaks down into four main traits. Wisdom, to see the world clearly. Courage, to face challenges head-on.
justice, to treat other people fairly, and temperance, which is all about moderation and self-control. But here's the crucial part. They saw these as a package deal. You can't be truly courageous if you're not also wise and just. They're all one thing.
Okay, I get it. This is all fascinating ancient philosophy. But how in the world does this help you when you're stuck in traffic, staring at a deadline, or your phone is blowing up with notifications?
Well, check this out. There's a direct line from these ancient ideas to modern psychology. The Stoic practice of pausing to examine your automatic thoughts and correct your faulty judgments, that is the absolute core principle behind cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is one of today's most effective treatments for things like anxiety and depression. I mean, think about that. The Stoics were basically practicing evidence-based therapy 2,000 years ago.
And they didn't just leave us with theories, they left us with actual exercises. You've got premeditatio malorum, which is just a fancy way of saying prepare for the worst to soften the blow if it happens. There's memento mori, the practice of remembering that you're going to die, which sounds grim but is actually amazing for focusing you on what's important right now. And then there's the view from above, imagining your problems from space, which has a funny way of shrinking them down to their true size.
And all of this brings us right back to the central idea of the entire philosophy, the incredible power you have over your own mind. So, if your peace of mind, your eudaimonia, doesn't depend on what happens to you, but only on the judgments you make about what happens, what is one judgment you're holding on to right now that you could choose to change today?